So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
Now in this segment of the video, we're going to talk about the depth chart and just kind of do some projected roles for what I think these players can look at and what we can look forward to seeing in these players in the 2022 season. So starting off, Jared Goff is going to be your day one starter. He's a guy that has proven and earned a spot at quarterback one. He's a guy that you're going to go into the season feeling pretty confident about, especially the way he finished the 2021 season. He is your quarterback one. There is no debate. Jared Goff is the quarterback one to start the season. Malik Willis needs to sit. He needs time to develop. He needs time to learn, a lot of technical things about his game, and needs to learn a lot of the technical things, learn how to read defenses a little bit better. And I think sitting on the bench for Malik Willis is a good option, as he will be the quarterback too. He will be a guy that, probably won't play a lot in 2021. And if Jared Goff gets hurt early, I wouldn't even be surprised if Kyle Allen comes in before we put in Malik Willis, because Malik Willis does have quite a bit of ways to go when it comes to the mental side of the game, and when it comes to learning that you don't need to get a home run every single play. You can take a check down, you can get a 4-5 yard pickup on a dump off to a running back and be just fine in your offense and keep your offense on schedule. The big play doesn't always need to be made, and I think that's something that has really plagued Malik Willis in his time at Liberty. Is yes, sometimes with his athletic ability, sometimes with his ability to escape, he's really good at it. He's an athlete. He gets out. He's just a better athlete than everybody, and he is probably the most gifted quarterback in college football right now. I don't think it's a stretch to say he's the most gifted quarterback, and because of that, he wants to extend every play, and he wants a touchdown on every single play, kind of in a way that Patrick Mahomes did when he was at Texas A&M, and even at times like Patrick Mahomes does in the NFL right now. I think Malik Willis needs to sit for a little while, so he is going to be your quarterback 2, quarterback 3. I think he's going to start at quarterback 3 just in case Jared Goff gets injured, but I think midway through the season, you're going to see him jump into quarterback 2. You're going to see him taking more reps with starting team. You're going to see him taking more reps with the ones. And I think you could see Malik Willis start the final game of the season, right? As long as we're not in playoff contention, or as long as it's not a must-win game. I think if the Lions are either out of it or they have a playoff spot locked up somehow, you could see Malik Willis start that final game just to see what the rookie could bring to the Detroit Lions long term. I think he's more than capable of being a long-term quarterback, but I just think it's not smart to start Malik Willis early in his career, because he does need that time to develop and grow from the mental side of the game. Now, running back, DeAndre Swift is your running back 1, Jamal Williams is your running back 2, Craig Reynolds will go into the season as your running back 3. In my opinion, Jermar Jefferson will go in as the running back 4, just based off of comfortability and based off knowing the system and being here longer with his coaching staff. And then I think Haskins comes in as your running back 5. I think he's going to push Jefferson, and even at points in the season, push Craig Reynolds for that RB3 spot. He's going to push for carries and push for playing time. He's going to be and help make with the Lions one of the deeper running back cores in the NFL. They kind of already are. I think with Swift and Williams and Reynolds and Jefferson, they already are one of the deeper running back cores. But I think adding Hassan Haskins will really just solidify a 5 strong at running back. One of them will likely be moved to the practice squad by the regular season, but I can't imagine a world where all 5 of them don't stick somewhere on this roster. Fullback is obviously Jason Kabinda. You just re-signed him in free agency. He's your fullback 1. No need to replace or back him up for anything. And if he gets hurt again, I know Jamal Williams and Jermar Jefferson both stepped up last time and said that they were more than willing to step in at the fullback position. Wide receiver depth chart, Allen Robinson is your 1. Allen Robinson is your depth wide or your ex-wide receiver. He is the number 1. Josh Reynolds starts as your number 2, a guy that Jared Goff has the comfortability with, a guy that Jared Goff trusts more than anybody. He is somebody that just he's going to play on the boundary because he's not a slot guy. And he's a guy that he earned a spot as a starter this year. And I think that you could really see Josh Reynolds play a big role next year for the Detroit Lions on his 1-year prove-it deal. St. Brown's going to be your 3. St. Brown's going to be your slot wide receiver, your shifty guy that you get involved in the run game, in the screen game. You get him obviously involved in the passing game. Get him his 8 receptions a game that he seems to need right now. David Bell is your 4. He's a guy that eventually will develop into the 2. And I think as far as 2023 and beyond, he will be your 2nd boundary wide receiver. But again, you don't force him into a starting role until he's ready. A guy that can very much still rotate in, a guy that in certain packages can still get the ball and make big plays for you, but a guy that is just, you're not going to force into a starting role. A guy that you can kind of take your time with, a guy that you can develop properly, who can make an impact early for sure, and possibly even overtake Josh Reynolds in training camp, which I think is possible. But I think a guy that, at this point, you're not forced to play a guy if he's not ready, but you have the luxury of playing him if he is. Quintez Cephus is your wide receiver 5, had a really good year before he got hurt, and unfortunately, he did get hurt for the 2nd season in a row and ended the season on injury reserve for the 2nd year in a row. He's your wide receiver 5. Pickens is your wide receiver 6, a guy that is still suffering from that injury a little bit, a guy that's still coming back and still working his way back to 100%. I think Pickens is a guy that has potential to be your number 1 wide receiver in the future. I think him and David Bell can be really good 1-2 after maybe Allen Robinson leaves, or especially after Josh Reynolds leaves. And I think those 3, being Pickens, Bell, and St. Brown, can be a phenomenal wide receiver trio. And then Trinity Benson, the wide receiver we traded for last offseason, is going to be your wide receiver 7. TJ Hockenson is going to be your tight end 1. No shock there. He is the tight end 1. He is a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. OJ Howard will be your tight end 2, being your vertical threat, being your real receiving threat. Cross or aside TJ Hockenson in this offense. I think it's going to be a matchup nightmare to have those 2 guys on the line at the same time, because I don't think there's a linebacker or a safety duo in the NFL that's capable of covering both Hockenson and OJ Howard while still accounting for DeAndre Swift, while still accounting for Allen Robinson, and while still accounting for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and as shifty as he is. And then I think Brock Wright makes it as the 3rd tight end on this roster. Your offensive line is not going to change at all this offseason. Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell are your starting tackles, with Matt Nelson backing them up. Jonah Jackson and Big V are your starting guards at left and right, respectively. Tommy Kramer and Logan Stenberg will back them up, and then Frank Ragnow and Evan Brown will hold down the center position going into the preseason. Your offense looks like that. I really, really like the way that this offense turned out. You have a quality starting quarterback who's getting more comfortable every single time he hits the field. You have a number 1 running back in DeAndre Swift who can run and catch the football. You have a lot of depth behind DeAndre Swift, everything from Jamal Williams all the way to Hassan Haskins. You have your number 1 wide receiver. You have your number 2 temporary wide receiver. And then you obviously have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we know how good he is. You have matchup nightmares as far as, David Bell and George Pickens, and even Quintez Cephus will see some time. You have a matchup nightmare with the tight ends of Hockenson and OJ Howard, and your offensive line, if it is healthy, is going to be a top 10 unit in the NFL. And it's kind of came into its own a little bit at the end of the season, especially over the past 2 to 3 games. I think has really played some really quality football thanks to the offensive line coach Hank Fairley kind of getting this mismatch unit right after kind of, moving pieces in and out all season long. Now, defensively, the defense is going to look very similar to this year. Michael Brockers, Aleem McNeil, and Levi are going to be your starters, but Fedarian Mathis and John Pennicini will rotate in several times when you need run stoppers and in short yardage situations. Kayvon Thibodeau and Romeo Okwara will start as your outside linebackers. Romeo Okwara having a really good season before it was ended prematurely by injury, and obviously Kayvon Thibodeau, your prized possession, your number 1 draft pick, is going to start alongside him at the opposite outside linebacker position. You look at then in your depth, Trey Flowers, Julian Okwara, and Austin Bryant are all your backup edge rushers. They're guys that can come in, make some big plays for you, but guys that just aren't quality, not quality, but they're not starting caliber players. They're quality backups, they're quality depth. Trey Flowers will play his final year in Detroit on the bench, not being a big-time player and potentially even being a trade candidate for the Detroit Lions to pick up a little bit more cap space, pick up a little bit more draft assets in this year's draft, or even be a player to maybe bring in some more depth and bring in another player or two if a team is desperate enough for a pass rusher of the quality of Trey Flowers. Now, your inside linebackers, depth-wise, are looking like Alex Anzalone and Anthony Walker to start. Jalen Reeves-Maybin as your 3, Derek Barnes as your 4, Jesse Luketa as your 5, and Anthony Pittman as your 6 linebacker. Anthony Pittman likely being a practice squad player, but definitely competing with Jesse Luketa for that last and final linebacker role on the defense. Jeff Okudah, Amani Oruwariye, and AJ Parker are going to be your 3 starting corners. Amani and Okudah are going to be on the outside, with AJ Parker obviously starting in the slot where he started a majority of the season when he was healthy. And then your depth at cornerback looks phenomenal with Jerry Jacobs, who saw starting time this year and looked really good. Ifeatu Melifonwu, who again had really good starting time this year and had some really good tape as a starting boundary corner. And then you obviously have Will Harris, who I think will officially transition to cornerback this year. I think there's just not room for him at safety, and actually I think he looks better as a corner than he does as a safety, and I think he will be your cornerback 6 on the roster. You look at then your safeties, I think Walker, Diggs, and Peppers all rotate depending on what role and what scheme that they are in, depending on the packages and depending on, a lot of different factors in the game. I think you could see all 3 of them essentially split their starting time, with Dean Marlowe and JT Woods backing them up. And then your special teams is locked up with the addition of Scott Daly. So you have Riley Patterson, the automatic kicker, Jack Fox, the best punter in the NFL, and Scott Daly, a more than capable long snapper for the Detroit Lions to finish up this roster. So with all that being said, that is the mock off season. I would be very curious to hear what you guys thought about it, what you guys would change, what you guys liked about it, what direction the Lions, or how you would feel about the Detroit Lions if this was the direction that they're taking. I think that this team that I just put together, I think that this roster that I just went over can compete for 9 to 10 wins, especially with the schedule we have next year, playing Philadelphia, playing Washington, playing, the Jets, playing the Jaguars, playing the Seahawks. Like, there are a lot of teams that finish the year below 500 that are on the Lions schedule for next season. And I think that next year they can take advantage. Next year, just like this year, they're going to keep a lot of games close regardless of how good the team is and how much better the team may be than them on paper. But instead of like what happened this year, now they're going to have the offensive firepower, and now they're going to have the offensive system to put up more points than their opponent. And when their defense holds the opponent to 20 or under points, the offense under Joe Brady and Jared Goff, with DeAndre Swift healthy, TJ Hawkinson, Allen Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown coming into his own, and that phenomenal offensive line, they're going to be able to average more than 20 points per game, and they're going to win 8, 9, maybe even 10 games next season, sneaking into the playoffs and kind of getting this rebuild way faster than a lot of people thought it might happen. This roster can win a playoff game. This roster, under the guidance of Dan Campbell, Joe Brady, and especially with Aaron Glenn developing these guys for another year and obviously just improving himself over the offseason, this roster would get me incredibly excited if I was a Lions fan, because this roster is talented enough. They have enough stars. They have the offensive play caller now that they need to put up points, and we've seen what the defense can do after. That's before getting back Romeo Okwara, Kayvon Thibodeau, Jeff Okudah, and obviously adding Jabril Peppers and Quandre Diggs to this defense. You add depth and you add star talent all over the defense, especially in the secondary and in the pass rushing department. The defense looks a lot better under Aaron Glenn in his second year. The offense puts up 20 to 25 points a game, around average, maybe slightly above average in the NFL. And the Lions, hopefully, can take advantage of some of their matchups, can take advantage of some of the lesser teams in the NFL, like a Jacksonville, like a New York Jets, and they can take advantage and put together a really good team. Put together a 7-8 win team at the least, and at the most, exceeding expectations a little bit, make it to the NFC playoff race, and maybe, just maybe, be like the Cincinnati Bengals this year, be like the Philadelphia Eagles this year, and they can take advantage and not only take a playoff spot, but push for a division title and push for possibly a Super Bowl title. Now, with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. A long video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It took a lot of time, a lot of numbers, and it took a lot to put this video together, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys will comment and share this video. I don't do this a lot, but this was one of the videos that I put the most effort into ever on my channel, probably the most effort I've ever put into a video. So if you guys could like the video, if you guys could share this video with people, if you guys could put it out on your social medias and just spread this video as best as possible, I'd be so so appreciative for. But with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this mock offseason. And with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, until the offseason, go Lions!